Continuing in our story of injectors, I thought we'd have a little bit of a look at one stripped down. This is a 2 1/4 2.5 turbo diesel, 2.5 turbo diesel injector. They're all very much the same, and this is perhaps one of the simplest injectors you could get, and it was very, very clever, you know, but it's primitive and it's kind of easy to fix, really. There's not much to it. So let's go through all the parts and its bits and pieces. We've got, first of all, we've got a nozzle holder. This is the nozzle, but this is the holder that fastens it onto the body here. Pay particular attention to the surface. This one's been corroded, it's got rust on it. This really needs resurfacing to make a good seal. Otherwise, if that seal's leaking, you're going to got diesel and compression coming up the side of the injector body, which is not good. And you'll think they're leaking, but it's actually that gasket face just cannot seal onto there. So we've got the nozzle, and usually when you buy a nozzle it comes in two parts. I've taken this one apart just to show you what it looks like. Again, I don't know if this is going to come out very well on video, and I've just cut my hand, so I won't use that one. Can you see the pitting on the end of this nozzle? This is one wasn't firing very good. Really, could you salvage those? Yes, you can, and like I say, I know a lot of people who've lapped these in and messed about with them and things like this, but nozzles aren't expensive, and you can get original CAV nozzles. I don't know, I think they're about a tenner or 12 quid or something like that. They're really, really cheap because I made millions of them. I'm not going to buy any more of these Chinese ones. I've had enough of them. I've had my fill of them. But yes, you can reseat them. But if the nozzle's all pitted and damaged, then I really wouldn't bother, because the metal's getting thinner and thinner. So let's have a look inside a nozzle. You can see there's 3 small holes and 2 large holes. The 2 large holes correspond to the location pins here. Right, that's easy enough, isn't it? Notice too that the face here and the face here has no gasket. It relies on a ground finish, and that, if I can get it the right way around, makes the seal. That's why then the cap that goes on here has to be tight. You see, that has to be tight onto there, because that'll make the seal. So that's that bit. Body, self-explanatory. Very, very simple. Diesel goes in there, and then there's a very small drill in here that goes up to correspond to that entrance there. You've got a pin. Now this pin activates on top of this needle here. That little needle inside there. So that sits into a little socket on top of there, like that. Alright? Now in between that, there is a spring that goes onto that cap. So this sits in here, and then there's your spring. There's only one spring as far as I know, and this is the beauty about the simplicity of this design, because it's got an adjuster. Now I've noticed some have got a flat on them, and some have got a hexagonal. This one's got a hexagonal for an Allen key, but that's about it. Copper washer, cap, and of course you've got your spill return. Now people are going to ask me, how does it work? And this is the thing. If you can get your head round this, you'll understand all injection systems, because or mechanical diesel injection systems, should I say. We can't really see into here with our, I haven't got facilities to cut one in half because it's hardened. I could do, I suppose, if I could be bothered. But you can see there's a recess around here, and 3 little holes. And there is a reason for that, because inside here there is a little chamber, And this needle here sits right at the very tip of here, but there's a chamber in there, so diesel can go around the outside of here, down those 3 little holes into the chamber in here, and try and push this pin up, this needle, under pressure. So diesel's coming in through those 3 little holes here and trying to push that pin up. However, it's counteracted by the spring. And this is it. So your diesel injection pump creates a pressure, but the nozzle, the injector meters that pressure exactly per stroke, per combustion. If you can get that, you'll get everything, because it's really, really simple. So when you have your injector pump, it doesn't just push diesel in because it won't know the exact pressure. This dictates the exact pressure into your cylinder, and also, most importantly, the spray pattern, which is dictated to by the manufacturer. Now, most of these in Land Rover land were for indirect injection cylinder heads. That meant there was a pre-combustion chamber built into the cylinder head, as if you've got a 2.5 you'll already know about. It injected it into there. Now, the beauty about the pre-combustion chamber was it made the engine quieter. It wasn't so noisy. Well, they already were noisy, but it wasn't as noisy. But they were used on direct injection. I've got these same injectors on my 135 Perkins engine in my forklift, and these squirt directly on top of the piston. So they had a wide variety of uses. Why don't they use them today? Well, I don't know. Probably, I don't know. I don't know why they don't use them. Maybe for size. Because if you compare them to a pencil injector out of a 200 or 300 TDI, you haven't got all this fancy width here for bolting things down 2 studs. It's probably made it more efficient. But also the spray pattern in modern diesels are a lot more efficient than these. Things have moved on through emission controls, etc., etc. So that's what you're going to get. So if you want to change a nozzle in one of these, it's really, really easy. Just make sure all these pieces are really clean. Just check for the cap, the end cap here. Make sure that the seal is nice and pitted free, no cracks or anything like that. I suppose at a pinch, you could have a nice flat block like a piece of plate glass and some sandpaper or something like that, and re-grind that to make sure it's completely flat. It's very important you don't get it kicked off to one side by just sort of doing it with your hand or your Black & Decker or something like that. So that's that, but that's it. So how do you put them together? Well, it's really easy. So we're going to locate our nozzle in our holes. When I can get them in, like that. We've already got our pin in, that's right, so that's alright. And again, cleanliness. You've got to keep it clean. Now I'm not going to monster tighten these down, I'm just going to show you how to put it together. So we've got that. We've got our pin. That can locate on the top pin of the top of the needle. Our spring, our cover, and then we go across, we tighten this up, we put this in the vise, and then we tighten this up as tight as we can to make sure that there's a nice seal, and then we'll progress over to our pop tester and test the burst pressure. We'll set these at 137 bar. Once we've got that done, we can put our copper washer on, tighten our cap down, and that's it. Spill return. Now, I know you're going to ask me a little question, so I'm going to save you the problem. Why do we have a spill return? It's kind of easy. Let me take this to pieces and we'll see. Even though these are highly, precision ground objects here, these instruments here. The needle is a nice close fit, but it does allow a tiniest bit of diesel to work its way up past the body, past the needle, and back up the whole of the injector to lubricate it, because if you didn't, these would seize up in a matter of minutes because there's no lubrication. All right, you see what I'm trying to say? So diesel, once it's ejected out of here, there's pressure building up, will try and get up here. So this is actually a very close fit seal, if you see what I mean. But a little bit of diesel is allowed to weep up here, up through the hole, up through the body. You can see, even see there's a little hole in there. Up through the cap, and that's why it's got a hole in the end. Not the cap, but the adjuster. Up through the cap and out and back to your fuel tank in a roundabout sort of way, or your back into your filter. But it's crucial, and all mechanical injectors work like that, whether it's 200 TDI, 300 TDI, they all work the same. A little bit of diesel's just allowed to go past, because you can imagine, you know, you're doing what, 3,500, 4,000 RPM in the diesel, if you could get that far. These injectors are banging away like crazy. They wouldn't last long if they were a super fine finish, or you had some sort of a seal in here. You see what I mean? Anyway, I hope you get that. I hope that's kind of worked things out a little bit for you. Well, we'll have a look at a TDI injector in a minute, and see how that looks, and see what the differences are.